Hello and welcome to the Out of This World. I'm Jamie Hanshaw, and joining me for the first time is Brittany Sellner. And Brittany is a author and conservative commentator, and she has been on Alex Jones with Jay. She's been on Jay's Analysis, and she has a book called Patriots Not Welcome. Can you tell us just for a minute what that book is about?
This book is about all of my political experiences since I started in 2016. It involves my husband and me because we really went through a lot of crazy, almost unbelievable stuff. And the reason I wanted to write it is because I realized, kind of researching back on things, that a lot of media articles were just being deleted. Things were just vanishing. I had to go to archive and search for everything for months before I found it all again. And I was realizing, okay, all that's going to remain here is what the image that they want to project of us. And that was obviously a very negative and deceitful one. So I decided to write this book to put everything as it truly was. Not that the whole world wants to read it or anything, but just kind of like for my own closure, because we really went through a lot, like house raids, investigations,
Oh, wow.
banning from countries. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Well, Austria is a very authoritarian country.
Mhm.
Things happen here that certainly wouldn't in the US, although in the US it's getting pretty bad as well.
Mhm. Well, I thought we would do something different with Brittany because she has such a wide range of knowledge about a lot of different things, and I really wanted to talk about music videos. So we're going to talk about music today, and I have a background in music. I have a associate's degree in theater performance, musical theater. I have a very musical family. A lot of people in my family play instruments and sing, songwriting. I grew up singing in the church in a family band. I mean, as awkward and embarrassing as you can imagine, matching outfits with my, mom as a teenager singing on stage. So it was fun. It was a very artistic environment to grow up in. So I've always loved music, but I just recently I had this realization that music is a drug of sorts. It is a very important art form. It well, sound and vibrations, God spoke the world into existence, and vibrations on matter is how we get forms in matter, right? And I was wondering, let's just start off with, have you heard of the 440 hertz conspiracy?
I have. Yes, I
Um,
mean, not in a way that I could really articulate and explain, and I'm sure you could better, but I have heard of this. Yes, definitely. I just wanted to add on what you said, though. If you even look, I don't know if you've ever seen on Instagram or TikTok, they'll sometimes put a movie scene and take out the original music and change it to something completely different. Like it's an intense horror scene, but they put happy music and it changes the entire emotion of the scene,
mhm.
and conveys something entirely different. So music is extremely important. It's very interesting.
It is so important, especially in, like you said, influencing great crowds of people to do certain things. Like, you know, battles have their musicians playing the music, the drums, and everything to keep people fighting and to boost up morale, to scare. They would play music out of helicopters in the Vietnam War to frighten the Vietnamese soldiers.
Haven't they used this in torture as well? They've
Oh,
used
yeah,
certain like pop, hip hop songs they play over and over, and the people, it's a form of psychological torture.
it definitely is. And it's also kind of a virus. Like the song gets stuck in your head and you don't know why. And so it becomes this mental virus that plays on a loop all day long. Even if you don't want it in there, it's stuck in there until something, rattles it out. Or if you hear a new song to replace that record playing on loop in your head. But yeah, so I don't know the whole story, but I just know the gist of it is the establishment, the Rockefellers and the Carnegies, they wanted the 432 changed to 440 hertz because 432 is a healing vibration. And a lot of people don't realize how the music affects your physiology, your heartbeat, your blood pressure, all of these things that you don't think about. And I get a lot more sensitive now that I'm older to music that I don't want to hear. if I'm trapped in a car with somebody playing music, it starts to hurt me sometimes. Like physically, I feel my uh, muscles tighten. I feel just dysregulated. And as soon as they turn it off, it's like instant relief. Have you experienced that listening to different types of music?
I definitely have my musical tastes have changed a lot since I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I actually liked metal music, but I can't listen to it anymore. No, I like I now I listen to a lot of like Frank Sinatra, like Lana Del Rey, a lot of classical music, very different types, a lot of this folkish Austrian music. There's a lot of European music that I listen to. It varies now, but nothing too intense anymore.
Hmm. Uh, Also in our church, so they teach that the church is thought of as a hospital or a place of healing. And if you study the architecture of the great cathedrals and the great Orthodox churches and some of the Catholic churches and the Gothic churches, first thing you're going to notice is the sound in the acoustics, right?
Mhm.
And the choir or the organ singing and these vibrations. I'm just now like toying with these ideas, but I think that these are supposed to be modes of healing your physical body, not just your spiritual body with virtues and principles by going to church, but actually being there and just participating in the sound is going to have a healing effect on you. And then if you take into account the stained glass windows and the rose windows that they have, like think of Notre Dame, right? It has that beautiful rosette stained glass window. If you look into something called cymatics, where they vibrate sand on surfaces with different frequencies, they make different geometric patterns, and these
Mhm.
look a lot like these rose windows. So I'm going down that rabbit hole of like sound, vibration, healing, church, all of these things going together.
I think it's very interesting. I actually am fortunate enough living in Austria, Vienna, to go to these beautiful churches for mass on Sunday,
Nice.
and yeah, the singing in them is beautiful. It's a totally different experience than in the smaller churches I went to in the U.S. But when you asked me before if I'd have background in music, I don't per se in the sense that I studied it in university, but I did sing for several years. 5 to 7 years with an opera teacher. She taught us Broadway, and then I sang for like 7 years in my church choir as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have sung a lot, but I wouldn't say that I'm professionally trained or anything like that.
When I had some rough times and I was going to my church, I was just learning the songs, and I believe it really helped my brain kind of heal and rewire itself just by learning the music and being there and singing and being in the acoustics and just the beauty. And I wanted to write down some notes about this, but I'm just going to direct you guys to watch it on your own. It is a Disney vignette called Donald Duck and Math Magic, where he talks about the creation of the music, the 5 musical tones that the Western world uses. Not the 5, the 8 tone scale, but it's based on 5 and the pentagram, which Pythagoras also, that was very important to his cult. So music is linked to geometry and the building up of matter. And so what we're going to talk about is how they are tearing us down as a culture by giving us these musicians and music videos that are overtly satanic now. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In film, fashion, music, everywhere. I think music that gives you a sense of a piece of soul is, it's very uplifting. If you're at peace inside, then I think you live better
Mm.
and you make better decisions, you're happier. But this kind of chaotic, very negative, kind of demonic music, I think it's terrible. I don't understand how people can listen to it, but then maybe I think, okay, I'm just old. I'm just getting old. That's the sign. But I really see no appeal. I feel like it was so much better back when I was younger, when my parents were young. And it's just in a complete decline, and it also kind of reflects the decline of our society in a way. Well, art reflects culture. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So I've written a lot about how concerts and award shows are high-powered rituals. And there have been a lot of weird phenomena going on in concerts lately, such as Taylor Swift. I don't know if you've heard this, but a lot of people who have gone to her new concert are reporting that they have amnesia about what happened to them
Really?
at
That's
the
so
concert.
great. I
Yeah,
saw one thing about a strange wave at a recent Lana Del Rey concert that like knocked everyone over.
yeah, I
But
saw that
yeah,
too.
it's hard to know what to think because there a lot of them you're seeing through Instagram, TikTok videos. It's hard to really know unless you're there, but I find it obviously extremely strange.
Mhm. So also going along with the Taylor Swift concert is she has a song called Willow, and in the live performance of that, she does a sort of witch ritual, a bonfire, and has the audience chanting "Summon the demons." Well,
Really?
yeah, in black robes, and the circle of witches is all around her. So, yes, witchcore is going to be huge. Not that it's not already, but you're going to be seeing this leak into mainstream and to the children more and more. They're going to be wanting to emulate the classical witch, along with the pointy hat, the black clothes, goth, all of it. And
It's interesting. This is a trend I noticed way back in like 2015, 16
uh,
in the young adult writing industry, where a lot of the authors are self-proclaimed witches. And a lot of the things they post have to do with this. And I just thought it was a weird trend because what are the chances that like multiple of these female young adult writers are witches? And then later I saw it like spread out to a bunch of actors. Emma Watson has claimed that she's a witch. Megan Fox all the time is talking about how she's a witch. So it's definitely something that's becoming more popularized again. I think Lana Del Rey as well has talked about back when, because she hated Trump, they were doing a ritual to try to like make it so he wouldn't become president or something. Very, very
right.
weird.
There's a whole subreddit called Witches Against Patriarchy. And there's a whole genre of TikTok called Witch Talk. So it's bubbling up. And I wrote these books almost 10 years ago. Well, first two
Wow.
10 years ago, and this one about 8 years ago. And so I was talking about high profile rituals. You see that Madonna crucified on a cross right there? So Madonna, to me, she's kind of like the queen of blasphemy, right?
Yeah.
And that's her whole thing, is she's the fallen Madonna. And so we remember her performance in 2012 at the Super Bowl, where she was the Babylonian queen. And then just recently this year, I think it was like European Vanity Fair, she had a whole spread of herself as Christ in the Last Supper and surrounded by women instead of men. And the whole thing was pretty disgusting and blasphemous.
I
But
remember.
yeah. So
It's an interesting observation how some of these women like Madonna, Lady Gaga as well, were raised Catholic and then obviously fell away from the faith, and they become the most satanic of them all, and they have so much of this Catholic symbolism. Just for example, in Judas, Lady Gaga's music video, it's also extremely satanic. She's like a Mary Magdalene type figure. Yeah.
Yeah, Lady Gaga and Alejandro too is another one with
Okay.
the Christian imagery too. And then I was talking about Britney Spears, so I've done a whole series on her, so we're not going to get into her videos, but basically her catalog of music videos is the timeline of her progress in the Monarch program, if you break it down. And so if you go back to our shows with me and Rachel talking about Britney, we talk all about, the history of all her music videos. But do you remember this performance?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With the snake? That's a pretty iconic one. So here you've got Britney with the snake, and then you've got a actual ritual of the Church of Satan, where the woman is the altar and she has the snake draped over her exactly like Britney does. And then you have Pink in concert, who is dressed exactly like a candidate ready for entered apprentice into masonry. She's got the checkerboard and a pant leg. Instead of rolling up, it's a checkerboard. She's got her breast bared. She's got the blindfold, which is called a hoodwink. She's doing the hand posture called a do-guard. So I'm not just making this up, and we're going to talk about Doja Cat in 1 second, but I just wanted to refresh your guys' memory about how this has been going on for so long. Everyone remembers Bloody Lady Gaga, right?
Mhm.
And then when Beyonce initiated Taylor Swift into the inner circle, when she had that humiliation ritual with Kanye saying Beyonce had the greatest video of all time, making Taylor Swift upset. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
So it's pretty much like the whole music industry today is the undercurrent of it is satanic and specifically Thelema. And now they are trying to do what we call the revelation of the method or the externalization of the hierarchy, because a lot of people say, well, why would they show you everything they do? Right? Why would they tell you? It's because you have to understand the mind of a psychopath. It doesn't work like ours. It's not enough to dupe people. You have to prove to them what you've done. It's like, it's not enough to get away with it. You have to show people that this is what you've done. And so this is a great book talking about revelation of the method. It's got all of our notes in it. I've read it a couple times. It's even got coffee stains all over it. But this is Michael Hoffman, Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare. So
That's interesting.
yeah, if you've heard us talk about externalization of the hierarchy, which is the theosophical idea or revelation of the method, and you want to know more exactly about that, then get this book right there.
I think it's also because they're so confident in the power that they hold and the influence they have over society. They don't think that even if people realize it, I mean, a lot of people do. I mean, we're having this conversation now. They have no fear that we will be any sort of threat to them. And on top of that, they want to brainwash other people. So it's
Mhm.
not enough for them to believe this. They want to corrupt as many people as possible with their music, movies, their influence in general.
And it is, yeah, it's about controlling and harvesting energy. So you remember Astro World?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was crazy.
So that was kind of proof that these things do lead to sacrifice, literal human sacrifice, right? And if, in my opinion, it's going to come out of the audience, and that's going to be part of the performance if we continue going down this path, is first mock human sacrifice and then actual human sacrifice. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know about the actual, but the mock for sure. I mean, it's hard. I'm not definitely not saying you're wrong. This could totally be possible. It's
I'm
more
saying worst
hard.
case scenario.
Yeah, it's hard for me to envision that now. But I mean, you wrote a book 10 years ago about something that's now very popular. So you could very well just be way ahead of the curve.
Well, it's funny because I was working on these books. I started them in like 2009. And they didn't get published till 2012. And the third one that I'd never finished because I just kind of went a different way, it was about androgyny. Before it
Mhm.
was even, transgender was even a thing. Nobody was talking about that stuff, but I was like, they worship androgyny. It is part of their spell casting. It is part of the great work.
Mhm.
Um,
It's all a preface for transhumanism because as soon as you start messing with the body and those ways, trying to change it completely to a different gender, this is all a preface for that. And in whatever form it takes, it could be transhumanism with animals, with machines, then with AI. So for example, what Elon Musk is trying to develop, the Neuralink, all of that could be defined in my view as transhumanism because it's going to connect to your mind and interpret in a sense your thoughts into actions. So this is stuff that they're working on at the moment. And the ET music video, I think, was very evocative of the transhumanist agenda out of all of them. I think the other ones were very satanic, this one as well, but that's the only one I personally noticed this transhumanism very blatantly.
Okay, let's start with that one. So what she's talking about is Katy Perry's E.T. I think this was 2012 in there.
Whoa, so long ago. That's crazy.
Yeah. So Katy Perry's another one who you mentioned they like to take these Catholic girls and turn them to the dark side. So she was a daughter of a Protestant pastor, but I do have a whole article about her in this book right here. So Katy Perry's career, I outline, and I do talk about ET, and I wanted to bring this up because it's just so weird. So it starts with a rap by Kanye, right? And he's talking about I'm an alien, I'm a big-headed astronaut, I control you, or I created you, so now I can control you, and oh, space apes. So we're talking about evolution, and the next step in evolution, like you said, is transhumanism, according to them.
Yeah, and a lot of genetic engineering, which now obviously is not legal, although
Mhm.
I know that they're developing this in China to some extent. So I'm not exactly sure what the laws are, but I don't know if it's illegal there. But it is
Mhm.
in Western countries, or so they say.
Mhm. So ET, she says, "You're so hypnotizing. Could you be the devil? Could you be an angel?" So here we are combining fallen angel symbolism with aliens and the devil. And what she is saying, she's like, kiss me, kiss me, um, take me, abduct me, impregnate me, change me. And this all goes back to, in my opinion, the Lima and Aleister Crowley, where what they were trying to do is open portals to allow these entities, which we consider alien, to have access to our world. Are you familiar with that story? Jack Parsons and those people?
No, I'm familiar with the concept, yes,
Uh-huh.
but not specifically Jack Parsons.
Okay. So you've got all these little girls saying, kiss me, infect me with your love, fill me with your poison, take me. I want to be your victim, ready for abduction. You're an alien. So it's about uh, commingling with alien DNA and producing something else. And then at the end, they are they have satyr legs. Did you notice that at the very end they're walking into the
Well,
sun?
she does. I
Yeah,
think he doesn't, but
yeah.
he is supposed to, if I remember correctly, he like came from some kind of machine out of, or like a spacesuit or something. I think he's more of like the computer technological type of transhumanism, whereas she represents the animal crossover.
Very good. Yeah, that's exactly what I think that they are saying. So there's E.T. if you want to go watch that. Katy Perry's E.T. is very thelemic, even OTO. So the Aleister Crowley's cult, he took over and went to the OTO, which is a sex magic cult, and they are concerned with transmitting gods and goddesses to our world through ritual sex, which a lot of these music videos portray also, right? And I'm going to be doing this book on Rockfin. And so this is a book of the OTO talking about channeling aliens or demons or fallen angels, however you want to call it, into yourself through sex magic. And I think that is exactly what the video ET is about. And then, of course, we had Sam Smith at the Grammys.
He's one of the creepiest. I don't get his appeal. Like, why would you? First of all, his voice, then his music isn't good, and then he's just very revolting in
Mm-hmm.
the way he acts and behaves. I don't understand how you could enjoy such ugliness.
Well, it's kind of sad because he has a nice voice. Like I can recognize talent just because I grew up around it, and so I like his singing voice, and I feel bad that he had to sell his soul to get somewhere where he thought he couldn't get on his talent alone, which he was doing just fine without it, but then he became the whole fat devil almost, right?
Well, I think that's kind of the bargain if you want to succeed on an international level. I think isn't Doja Cat's song all about like, I wanted to be famous, and it kind of alludes to the fact that she did this for the fame in a sense.
Exactly. Yeah, so let's talk about that one for a second. So this is actually the video that kind of prompted me to make this the theme of our show today. And it is Doja Cat, and the song is called, what was it called? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot the actual name of the song. Because she's being the Scarlet.
Is it like Paint the Town Red or something?
Paint the Town Red. Okay, so one of them is called Attention. One of them is called Paint the Town Red. So here's what we're dealing with. Doja Cat is the Scarlet Woman right now. And what that is the companion of Horus, the god of war, who they want to invoke. They believe that this is the Aeon of Horus. They worship Horus. And his companion is the Scarlet Woman. And here is a picture of her single called Attention. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. And this is a very magical sign, symbol of the chalice, of the female, of the vagina, of the lust card, of her riding the beast. I'm going to show you this tarot card real fast, and then I'll show you a picture of Doja Cat. So you watched oh my gosh, what was it called? Oh yeah, Paint the Town Red. What did you think of that?
That's the one I watched. I found it extremely grotesque. I also didn't care for the song. That was the first song I'd ever heard from Doja Cat. I heard about her due to some controversy she was recently embroiled in, but it's really not my genre of music, and I find nothing beautiful about it. It feels like something, I don't know, maybe if you're in a club, it would be nice to listen to. I have no idea, but it's really not my thing. And I definitely saw all the imagery everywhere. Her with death. The one thing I didn't really get was her with all the pieces of meat. What was that supposed to be symbolizing? That went over my head a little. Was she like feeding some sort of beast? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, okay, let's go there. So I wanted to give a little background about her career so far, because a couple years ago she had her 27th birthday party, and there's the whole thing in rock and roll about the 27th Club. You've heard of that, right? Where
yes,
a lot of artists,
they've died. Amy Winehouse was one. There's been several. Was Kurt Cobain one of them as well?
Jim Morrison was definitely one. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a weird phenomenon how a lot of these people skyrocket to fame, and then they just end up dying an early death at the age of 27. So on her 27th birthday, she had a Masonic cake. I don't know. Can you see? I'm such a boomer type. Like I don't want to take time to learn. But so here's her birthday cake. It says 27 on it. It's got a compass and square on the top. It's got all seeing eye on the bottom. And the theme of her party was Eyes Wide Shut, which we talk about all the time as an esoteric classic, kind of a revelation of the method, window into what's actually going on. So had you heard about that birthday party before?
I had not,
okay.
Although I know of the film you're speaking about, and one of the most interesting aspects, I think, is the fact there was 24 minutes or something around that number cut from the film that nobody ever saw. I think the producers had it cut, and I find that very interesting. I'm sure it involved something with children. I have no idea. People can only speculate, but apparently it was too much, too revealing. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I definitely think that would have been too much too soon. And that's probably why Stanley Kubrick is not around anymore. And Jay has a whole expose in his book about Eyes Wide Shut. We've done so many shows about just breaking down everything about that movie. So if you're interested more on that, look into his stuff on Eyes Wide Shut. So that was her birthday party, right? And then she arrived and her breast was bared, like that picture I just showed you of the Master Mason, and a Masonic compass and square on the cake. Like, we're not just drawing straws out of nowhere. It's literally right there. So she had that birthday party, and then in 2022 she had like a Britney moment where she shaved her head on live stream, and so she shaved all her head and eyebrows, and people were wondering like what is up with that. So there's her shaving all her,
Wow, that's terrifying.
having her Britney breakdown moment, which we see a lot of these people do. Amanda Bynes, Lindsay Lohan, Britney, Kanye. I mean, the list goes on and on. And then we have Doja Cat for Balenciaga. Here's her beautiful Balenciaga look. Right? So she's got that black eye.
Mhm.
We don't know if that's makeup or real. And I don't think I'm going to actually say what the black eye is right now, because it's pretty out there. If you really want to know, look up panda eyes. And
I've heard about this
yeah.
theory as well. I find all of this very interesting, so I research a lot of stuff on my own,
Mhm.
and I think some things definitely are more convincing than others. But I mean, all of it is, you see patterns. If you have pattern recognition, you will notice a lot of these themes reoccurring everywhere.
Yeah. So, and especially since this Balenciaga scandal was involving children
Oh,
in
right,
their
yeah.
campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you're brave enough, look up what panda eyes is. And then she arrived at Paris Fashion Week wearing this strange red skin. Do you remember that? It was like all painted, bubbly red, and she was bald, and she had red all over. So here's another Scarlet Woman representation again. And the show she was going to, dressed all in red, was called Inferno Culture, which was inspired by Dante's Inferno and the Nine Circles of Hell. And then in 2023, she went to the Met Gala as a transhuman looking cat, complete with a prosthetic face. So
Oh, right, I did see this.
you are so correct about the transhumanism is not just mechanical, it's also trans species and cross species, a la Jurassic Park, and cloning and DNA.
But thirdly, it's also like the virtual reality, the sense that some people, we're going to get to the point where that's all they live in, because the outer world becomes no longer interesting to them. It's more interesting to live online. So I think you're going to see that massively.
Mm-hmm.
We already see it now, but just, I mean, 1,000 times as much.
Mm-hmm. And people are going to be wanting to look more like their avatars. So,
Right.
um,
That's a good point.
cosmetic procedures, we already have seen they have no limits to what, how they can carve you up, and there's no consequences or any like pushback to all the complications that go along with reaffirming surgeries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
that stuff just gets so disgusting when you think about how they have to keep on I just saw this yesterday, I don't even know if I should mention it, dilating their
Yeah.
wound.
It's really horrific. But I think for the people who don't want to take those measures, or maybe they can't afford it, who knows, a lot of times I think the government pays for it at this point, at least the transitioning aspect, not the detransitioning if you decide to do that. But they'll just become their avatar online and design themselves and forget their human husk, and then become this is, for me, more realistic in the near future. But maybe a little while after that, I definitely, with every line that's crossed, you're going to just see more and more abomination.
Yes.
So I definitely see the animal coming in. Yeah, the machine. I feel like the animal is much more grotesque and unnatural, though. But this is definitely, it's all there with the transhumanism. And I know a lot of people like Elon Musk, but he's a huge proponent of this. And also, just look at his girlfriend, who he had 2 children with. She wants to like date an alien, be an alien. If you just look at her music and symbolism as well, this is what they're both really into. So I don't really trust him personally, but if he does a few good things along the way, that's great. But yeah, I'm
No,
not
I
a
don't either. And
Elon
you're
Musk
completely
fangirl.
on target with that. I did 2 shows back to back, one about Grimes, one about Elon Musk. One is called Elon's Slippery Sorcery, and the other one is called Grimes' Dangerous Worldview, because she was a proponent of communism at the time, where she was having photo shoots reading Communist Manifesto. And so, yeah, and she is a proponent of the transhumanism. She's a proponent of the surrogate mothers, because she doesn't want to wreck her body with
Oh, she didn't get pregnant with the children. I didn't know
the
that.
first one. I think she did, and then she was trying to do the surrogate route because it was hard on her figure. So yeah, those 2 were really good shows. Yeah, I don't trust somebody who wants to chip your brain. And his new stroke turning Twitter into X is what prompted me to read this book again and share with you all what actually is going on. So you just have to wait for the Rockfin show on that. But oh yeah, we're talking about Doja Cat. So she went to the Met Gala looking like a cat, and everybody else that year was looking like cats. Like Jared Leto actually arrived in a giant kitten costume.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so it was very beta kitten themed that year, right? And then Paint the Town Red. So it starts out, it's like, it looks like a film noir. She's sitting in black and white, and she plucks her eyeball out and lays it on the table. What did you make of that?
I thought it was, well, maybe the one eye symbolism that they always have. And there's this part, it has like the eyeball on a string. Do you know what I'm talking about? It looked like there was some kind of like baby or creature in a sack, and then she cuts it, and it made me think of like abortion, something like this. But I don't know if I was interpreting that right, because it was the first time I'd seen it. I'd never heard of her, and I was just seeing all these weird things so quickly. But these are just the immediate things that came to mind. And starting with the eye, it kind of, you follow that through the whole music video.
Yeah. So what I think, you're right about the one eye symbolism, and the eyeball actually in Egyptian is its own god. So it was the eye of Horus that was plucked out by Set, and it became its own flying eyeball, like it could do things, and it was called the Wajet eye. And so, yeah, I think that is very Egyptian, going back to Anne of Horus again that we were talking about before. And so she plucks her eye out. She goes into the different parallel universe where she is riding this beast. So here is a picture of the Aleister Crowley Lust card from his tarot. And here's the Scarlet Woman riding this beast from Revelation, right? And this was how I kind of predicted that Katy Perry would use this imagery in her Super Bowl performance. And then here is Doja Cat riding this beast. She's riding his head in the video. So she, like, definitely a devil goblin type guy, and she's up there saying, I do this for the fame.
And it also had all these eyeballs hanging from its horns.
Or like the fetuses.
Yeah, it's I don't think I've ever seen such a grotesque music video. To be honest, I think this one was, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm shocked or anything, because this is what these people do. And at this point, all of them do it. So it's not necessarily shocking. It's more just revolting, because it's a complete inversion of everything that's good.
And yeah, like you said, they all do it. So how avant-garde can it really be?
Yeah, it's not revolutionary.
No. So I did have a picture. Okay, so here is her, and so she's riding that devil or the beast, singing I'd rather be famous, and she, the devil, talking about herself, talking about other people talking about her, right? Saying she, the devil, she does it for fame. Then she is dressed as a Scarlet Woman again, with the Grim Reaper, who is another way to talk about the devil, as in Saturn, as in the Black Cube, as in the god who consumes children, because Saturn is time and it ate its own children. So then she is also some kind of black demon and she's cutting off that fetus. So there's like the demon husband and her, and this fetus hanging down from the ceiling, and she cuts it. And I think you are right about that is antinatalist abobo
I
stuff.
mean, it already kind of feels like mock human sacrifice, although maybe certain people wouldn't register it as that if they don't believe abortion's murder. But for those who do, you already get that impression that it's some
Mhm.
sort of mock human sacrifice. And they have that a lot in fashion shows as well, with like babies impaled
Yeah.
on things and carrying
And
them. So this
Maria
is
Abramovich does the mock cannibalism parties.
oh right, I remember those.
Yeah. So, yes, we have this mock abobo procedure, and we're not far off because when the whole Roe v. Wade thing was going on, there was a statement from the Satanic Temple saying that this is a sacrament of ours.
Right, I remember that, and that it's their First Amendment rights, part of their freedom of religion.
Mhm.
That's what they argued. Yep.
So that is the largest number of people being sacrificed is the
I've heard that before. There was a man who converted to Catholicism, but before that, he was a Satanist and quite a high one at that. And I remember speaking to him once. He used to make YouTube videos, but he told me that, at least according to him, that abortion is a very important ritual sacrament of theirs.
Mhm.
So
So there you've got Doja Cat cutting off the fetus and the goo going everywhere. She's a Scarlet Woman with her boyfriend, Grim Reaper, who's Saturn. Her reflection is covered in blood. And like you said, there's a one scene where she's a peasant pushing a meat cart and her shirt says feral, and one of the lyrics says, "I'm a demon." And I have been talking about this for a while, and I hope it doesn't go this way, but everything does go the way I say. Uh, Cannibalism is going to be a thing in the future, not just transhumanism, not just all this stuff. It's going to be part of the um, starvation agenda, and human meat is going to be on the menu because it's, sustainable and it's available. They're even doing some things now cloning human meat, so it's more ethical, right?
mhm.
But I think cannibalism is going to be on the rise. So I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
As unbelievable and out there as these things sound, like cannibalism, human sacrifice, there were so many societies that practiced these things at one point, and I'm sure, I mean, and many of them still do. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that humans are drawn to this sort of thing for one reason or another. So
Mhm.
people could definitely be pushed back to this.
And haven't they even been caught using bodies for fuel, like in the UK for hospitals?
Oh,
And
I didn't hear about this. I would have to research that.
yeah,
But
it's pretty crazy what they're doing nowadays. So I just saw this today. Halsey is doing a number for a video game called Diablo 4, and she is summoning Lilith in concert. So there is Halsey, and there's her giant demon, Lilith. Right?
Megan Fox did the same thing recently.
Really?
The advertisements for Diablo 4, yeah.
Okay.
She has a
So
few on Instagram still.
yeah, so Lilith is a demon of the Jewish Kabbalah. Uh she is known as, like, in the Kabbalah, she's known as Adam's first wife who wouldn't submit to him and flew away and became like a night hag or a demon. But she is very important to witches and New Age, and a lot of the 90s rock stars were talking about Lilith, and there was even a Lilith Fair. Do you remember that? Sarah
Um,
McLachlan.
oh no, I
Yeah.
don't.
It was a music festival, like a women's music festival, but it was all revolving around the demon Lilith. So yeah,
I haven't seen her much in modern, or heard her brought up much in modern context, but And the reason I looked at Megan Fox's Instagram recently, that's why I keep mentioning her, but she had the caption of one of her photos was Lilith Rising. I mean, she's
Mm.
always talking about the fact she's a witch, but a lot of these feminist witches like Lilith.
Here's a picture from a 19th century book, a French book called The Key to Black Magic, and you have your Lilith in there. Samael and Lilith are a couple, right? And then they're talking about Adam plus Eve is the great work. So they're in that pentagram right there. You have your androgyny, Adam and Eve, and the stars. Their great work. So, well, let's talk about Lil Nas X. Did you watch that one?
Oh, I saw that one when it came out. And that one, I remember a lot of at least people on the right were talking about it because, I mean, it's yet again, it's if you watch it, you're not necessarily shocked because this is how these people are, but they are trying to provoke with it. Absolutely. I just remember he was giving the devil a lap dance, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it starts out, well, he started when he released this town called Old Town Road with Billy Ray Cyrus in
For
2019.
children, it was a
Yeah.
song. So his main fan base was children.
Yes. So you've got your hokey country family man, Billy Ray Cyrus, Miley Cyrus's dad, and Lil Nas X singing this hokey country song that is bridging the gap between rap and country, and it was marketed heavily to children. And after that, he was signed to Columbia Record. And then he starts doing all of the symbols that you see, like the this and the this and the just, you know, all of the mudras and signs of allegiance that you see these people doing. He was doing them right off the bat as soon as he signed with Columbia. So he's on Teen Vogue doing the one eye thing. His first single on his second album is what we're talking about, the video called Montero, or Call Me By Your Name, where he is, you know, like humping on the devil for a third of the video. And not only that, he released these sneakers, these devil sneakers with 666 and the
Blood in them too.
Yeah. And Lady Gaga was doing stuff with blood in her perfume line, I believe. In her fragrances, she was using some scents of her own blood. So yeah, he's got these tennis shoes, these devil tennis shoes. In the picture, he's holding the sneaker up and he's doing the one eye, and the other eye looks reptilian or devilish. And so the Montero music video starts off in the heavens, and it's talking about hiding parts of ourselves that we don't want the world to see. And a lot of people took this to mean that he was saying that it was about him being homosexual, but I think it was actually about these people being Satanists, right? Because nobody cares if you're gay anymore. That's not even like shocking. That's not something that you have to hide. I mean, that's pretty.
And although they are very open about the fact that they are Satanists, most people don't take it seriously. They're just like, oh, something edgy, this and that. They're trying to, you know, push the line, cross the line, even though that was crossed decades ago.
Yeah.
So as we said, it's nothing revolutionary, but I think most people, especially people that aren't religious or don't believe in any sort of spiritual war that we're in right now, just kind of look at it as, oh, it's aesthetics. So sometimes something that they're embracing. But if you then take it as they really do believe it, it definitely becomes much more nefarious.
Yeah, I think most people think it's just kind of a phase, like, you know, teens go through a goth phase or whatever, and they'll grow out of it. A lot of people think that it's just harmless art. And I'm remembering I watched this documentary. It's like a multiple part documentary in the 90s called They Sold Their Souls for Rock and Roll. And it was done so well that by the end of it, you do believe in the devil, and you do believe that these rock and roll stars actually make deals and pacts and contracts with maybe not the devil himself, but represent people who represent the devil, moguls and record execs, right?
I remember there was some interview where Katy Perry mentioned that she had done that, but it's again, it's like, are you going to take what they're saying and doing at their word and believe them? Or are you going to just be like, oh, it's an acting, like the Hollywood industry, they're just wearing this aesthetic
Mhm.
and because it's edgy. But I mean, I think that what you say and what you do is representative of who you are, and you should believe them. It's the same with our elites right now. Everything they're saying that they want, like living in pods and eating bugs, you should probably believe it because this is where they're moving us towards.
Yeah, or eating each other. That's going to be a thing. Um, so yeah, they're not hiding it anymore. They don't have to um, lurk in the shadows because now they've got people worshiping the fame, the money, um, just all the doors that are open to you if you are on, Team Lucifer. So Lil Nas X, in the beginning of that, he is Adam and Eve. And so I just showed you that little sigil of black magic. So he is a hermaphroditic person in the Garden of Eden. He's representing both male and female. He is seduced by an alien serpent, right? Which was really creepy.
Yeah.
And while they're they're doing sex acts on each other, the video pans to this tree, the tree of knowledge. And on the tree of knowledge is this Greek writing. And what that turned out to be was from Plato's Symposium. And what is written on the tree in Lil Nas X video says, after the division, the two parts of man, each desiring his other half. So this goes back to Platonism and Greek mythology, in that before the fall, everybody was androgynous, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not Christian theology. That's just Greek
They
Platonism.
were immaterial, so
Yeah,
there is no gender.
right. So in their worldview, everyone is trying to find the missing part of themselves in the opposite gender. And so here's another nod to androgyny. And another weird thing is, like, so Plato's Symposium is this philosophical text, which is a story about several men who go to a banquet and they are giving speeches to praise Eros, the god of love. And one of the speeches in this text praises boy love, or what they call heavenly love, between an older man and a young boy, where the old man imparts wisdom in exchange for sexual pleasure from the young boy. So here is some of the paradigm that we're dealing with in this Lil Nas X video, and it gets so deep. It just goes over a lot of people's heads because, one, they can't read Greek and they're not going to go look up a 2-second flash of a writing on a tree because they don't believe in symbols anyway. So yeah.
Well, the symbolism is an entire language of its own. So it's one thing to hear the words, but if you also see the symbols, then you'll see that they're telling you much more than just as what is in the song lyrics. So the more familiar you are, the more you'll see.
Yeah.
Certainly.
And this book talks about that too. They call it twilight language, and how symbolism is a way for them to communicate. So after the at the Garden of Eden scene, he goes to a scene where the profane masses are condemning him, and they send him to hell. And he's singing about how he can't leave the industry because now he's hella elite. So he's like chained to this. And that's when he has his catabasis. He descends into the underworld. He grinds on the devil, and then he breaks the devil's neck and steals his horns, and now he's the fallen one. Did you just notice that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So yeah, perfect for children. I think that's a great one for the little
Well, it's sad to think that so many kids do see that. And even if they're maybe not 4-year-olds, they're certainly 10 or 13-year-olds, because so many children have access to the internet now. I think that the average age of starting to leave a digital footprint it's 3 or maybe 2 or 3 years old. I remember reading these studies because, you know, the parents are posting pictures of the children.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of kids have access to devices with no supervision. So they're all seeing this, or they'll see it at school from their friends or whatever it might be. So definitely.
So we are getting short on time. I just wanted to mention a couple more that I was looking up if you want to go watch them and see what I'm talking about. One was called What's Up by ASAP Rocky. And I believe that's Rihanna's boyfriend. And there you can actually see him doing a ritual of the pentagram with the powder that he made, the magician's circle on the ground and the candles. And it looks very authentic to me. Have you seen that video?
Yes, I watched that one. I watched them all except the last two, the Beyonce one. And
Oh, okay. So I was gonna mention Kesha Die Young. So that's another one that a lot of people forget about, but that's got black magic in it. Katy Perry, Cry About It Later. Did you
yes, I watched this one.
what did you think of that? Because this I
It
have
seemed she was going from point to point with various men of every type, even like a vampire, even the warrior, all the different ones, and they all ended up repulsing her in a way, and what could only fulfill her was a woman at the end, and she had to
Mhm.
rescue the woman from the patriarchal grasp of the man and swooped her away on her witch's broom. This is literally what happened. And then they kiss and it ends. So this was, yeah, the symbolism was very clear in this one.
Yeah, and witchcraft has always been linked to lesbianism. And the first instance I can think of this in pop culture in my generation was Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Oh,
with,
I watched that show when I was younger.
yeah, Willow and Tara, the
Mhm.
witch couple, right? So here's Katy Perry, it's an animated video, and it's got the classic witch theme, pointy hat, broom flying around. And like you said, she can't be satisfied with the men. And you mentioned something a couple minutes ago that I wanted to comment on about teen books and paranormal.
Yeah, it's very heavy. Not just the fact that a lot of the authors are witches. There's a lot of witchcraft and witch themes and elements and characters in a lot of the popular young adult literature nowadays, which kids as young as like 10, 11 are reading.
Mhm.
It's very, very popular.
Yeah, because I remember talking about Twilight when it first came out, because we were doing work on like Hannah Montana and vampirism and stuff like that. And I noticed I went to Barnes and Noble, and there was a whole section with its own signage that said teen paranormal romance,
Yeah,
not
that
just
got
teen
very big
romance.
after Twilight.
Yeah. So teaching young girls to be attracted to the dark side, to werewolves, to vampires, this
Mhm.
has its consequences in just everyday real life when you think about how many people are ensnared by like people with narcissistic personality disorder, which can be very vampiric,
Mhm.
right? So I think this is training girls to romanticize demons and the dark side and also allow predatory people to take advantage of them.
Mhm.
Which is,
Well, it was also very popular amongst this genre to have a love interest, a male love interest who is almost in a sense borderline abusive, because you have
Mhm.
like the enemies to lovers plot line, which was very popular. So you had them that they really didn't get along, and the man was very often very dominating, almost abusive, and they were usually some sort of paranormal. This obviously in the most famous sense manifested in 50 Shades of Grey, but this
Mm.
type of dichotomy was very popular in all these books for young kids. Obviously, I think those books were meant for older women, but yeah, I'm sure a lot of younger women read them as well.
Yeah, well, if you're reading paranormal romance, it's not a big step to just go straight to the abuse of 50 Shades of Grey,
Yeah,
right?
because that was actually started out as Twilight fan fiction and then became.
Oh, did it?
Oh, it did, yeah. She
I
had
didn't
written
know
it as
that.
Twilight fan fiction, then changed some stuff and published that. So yeah, I mean, you can see it in there in a way.
Wow. So yeah, Katy Perry Cry About It Later. That's the witch core that I'm talking about. And then Rihanna Disturbia is another one to check out if you want to learn about like the possession, and I talk in this book about zombies and rock and roll and voodoo and the history of blues and rock and roll, and how it started with Robert Johnson and a pact with the devil in Mississippi. And that is the foundation of all of the music that we're talking about right now, is literal pact with the devil. And a lot of people allude to that story. Bob Dylan, he has said that he sold his soul to the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you see all these back to back, it starts to get like, maybe there is something going on here. And it's not just tongue in cheek, like, haha, I sold my soul to the devil, that's why I'm famous. But and then Beyonce, of course, Sweet Dream. So this is not one that a lot of people have seen, but it is very OTO oriented. She is possessed. She talks about the spirit that comes to her at night. Is it a dream or a nightmare? And either way, I like it. So it's a paranormal romance. At one point, she's lifting off the bed like you see in the Exorcist movie.
Mm-hmm.
She's floating up off the bed, and there's a dove above her. And a lot of people will be thinking, what does that even mean? But look at, here is the OTO symbolism. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh.
Try. Okay, so there's the all-seeing eye, the Egyptian all-seeing eye. There's the dove, white dove, and there's the chalice, that's the female. So in that video, they are doing a symbolic representation of this and talking about the stars in the sky. So this is the goddess Nut, who is the night sky, and her stars, and all of her sexual energy falls down onto us, or the participant in the ritual. And so the song by Beyonce, Sweet Dream, is an OTO representation of this ritual.
Hasn't she numerous times in public interviews talked about the fact that gets possessed during her performances by some sort of alter ego named Sasha Fierce?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's Sasha Fierce, there's Beyonce, there's a couple of them. And probably if she's been through the Monarch program, there's multiple personalities hiding out in there. But that is our time for today, and I want to thank Brittany so much. You're brilliant, and we can
thank you so much for having me. I don't know so much about the topic. I find it very interesting. I think you're much more knowledgeable, but I mean, the YA category, I was like within this for a long time and did all the research. So that's how I know about the whole book literature genre. But yeah, this not so much, but I find it fun to give my just instinctual takes. But your takes have been very informative, very interesting, because you've obviously done a ton of research.
Oh, nice. Well, tell everyone where they can find you and your book.
You can find me best, I think, at this point on YouTube under Brittany Sellner. I do a lot of cultural commentary videos, or you can find my book, Patriots Not Welcome, on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. And those links are always in my YouTube video description, or you can search on Amazon. But thank you so much again for having me. I really had a great time.
Oh, you're welcome. And we will collaborate together in the future, and also with Jay.
That would be great.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye, Jamie.
Bye.